Facts and figures ending violence against women. ఒకటి టెక్నాలజీ facilitated violence against women and girls. The lack of a common definition of technology facilitated violence against women and girls impacts on the lack of comparable data at a global level. But available evidence collected at country and regional levels confirms high prevalence rates. ఒకటి 1 in 10 women in the European Union has experienced cyber harassment since the age of 15, including having received unwanted and or offensive sexually explicit emails or SMS messages, or offensive and or inappropriate advances on social networking sites. 2. In the Arab states, a regional study found that 60% of women internet users in the region had been exposed to online violence in the past year. 3. In Uganda, in 2021, about half of women, 49%, reported being involved in online harassment at some point in their lifetime. 4. According to a 2016 survey by the Korean National Human Rights Commission, 85% of women experienced hate speech online. Climate change and violence against women and girls. Climate change and slow environmental degradation exacerbate the risks of violence against women and girls due to displacement, resource scarcity and food insecurity and disruption to service provision for survivors. 5. Following Hurricane Katrina in 2005, the rate of rape among women displaced to trailer parks rose 53.6 times the baseline rate in Mississippi, USA for that year. 6. In Ethiopia there was an increase in girls sold into early marriage in exchange for livestock to help families cope with the impacts of prolonged droughts. 7. Nepal witnessed an increase in trafficking from an estimated 3,000,500,000 annually in 1990 to 12,000,20,000 per year after the 2015 earthquake. Femicides. 8. In 2021, around 45,000 women and girls worldwide were killed by their intimate partners or other family members. This means that, on average, more than 5 women or girls are killed every hour by someone in their own family. While 56% of all female homicides are committed by intimate partners or other family members, only 11% of all male homicides are perpetrated in the private sphere. 3. Prevalence of violence against women and girls. Globally, an estimated 736 million women, almost 1 in 3, have been subjected to physical and or sexual intimate partner violence, non-partner sexual violence, or both at least once in their life. 30% of women aged 15 and older. This figure does not include sexual harassment. The rates of depression, anxiety disorders, unplanned pregnancies, sexually transmitted infections, and HIV are higher in women who have experienced violence compared to women who have not, as well as many other health problems that can last after the violence has ended. Most violence against women is perpetrated by current or former husbands or intimate partners. More than 640 million or 26% of women aged 15 and older have been subjected to intimate partner violence. Of those who have been in a relationship, almost 1 in 4 adolescent girls aged 15, 19, 24% has experienced physical and or sexual violence from an intimate partner or husband. 16% of young women aged 15 to 24 experienced this violence in the past 12 months. Impact of COVID-19 on violence against women and girls. The COVID-19 pandemic has intensified violence against women and girls, Vogue, and has also exposed and exacerbated deep structural inequalities, reversed decades of progress on women's participation in the labor market, raised the number of women living in extreme poverty, and increased the burden of unpaid care and domestic work, all of which exacerbates the risk factors and drivers of woe. In 2021, since the pandemic began, 45% of women reported that they were a woman then has experienced a form of woe. 7 in 10 women said they think the verbal or physical abuse by a partner has become more common. And 6 in 10 felt that sexual harassment in public spaces has worsened. Reporting of violence against women. Less than 40% of the women who experience violence seek help of any sort. In the majority of countries with available data on this issue, among women who do seek help, most look to family and friends and very few look to formal institutions such as police and health services. Fewer than 10% of those seeking help reported to the police. Laws on violence against women and girls. At least 162 countries have passed laws on domestic violence and 147 have laws on sexual harassment in the workplace. However, even when laws exist, this does not mean they are always compliant with international standards and recommendations or are implemented and enforced. In 2022, the Republic of Congo and Côte d'Ivoire enacted legislation protecting women from various forms of domestic violence, while the Republic of Congo, Indonesia, and Jamaica enacted legislation on sexual harassment in the workplace, including criminal penalties and civil remedies. Risk factors of violence against women and girls. A regional analysis of Women's Health Service conducted from 2016 to 2019 in 5 CARICOM member states Grenada, Ghana, Jamaica, Suriname, and Trinidad and Tobago found that ever partnered women aged 15 or 64 who were in relationships with men who had attitudes and behaviors that reinforce men's dominant position over women and perpetuate gender inequality, were more likely to have experienced lifetime and current intimate partner violence. Behaviors intended to control women's bodies' autonomy and contact with others are also strongly correlated with an increased risk of intimate partner violence. Economic costs of violence against women and girls. Violence against women can result in significant costs to the state, victims, survivors, and communities. Costs are both direct and indirect, and tangible and intangible. For example, the costs of the salaries of individuals working at shelters are direct, tangible costs. Costs are borne by everyone, including individual victims, survivors, perpetrators, the government, and society in general. Violence against women in public life. Across 5 regions, 82% of women parliamentarians reported having experienced some form of psychological violence while serving their terms. This included remarks, gestures, and images of a sexist or humiliating sexual nature, threats, and mobbing. Women cited social media as the main channel of this type of violence, and nearly half, 44%, reported receiving death, rape, assault, or abduction threats towards them or their families.